Well, before we get started today, I'd first off like to thank the show committee for asking me to come and judge, and I think everybody that walks through the ring today should walk over and thank them for what they've done as far as having this show and the complications that happen because of what's going on in the world, and the fact that we're still able to have a show and have everybody participate, I think is really important. Getting started today, a single entry bull and one that I think could stand some competition. I really like this one's masculinity and power. He has a really nice rib cage and gets around the ring nice. One that I think could stand some competition and a really good representation. If you would, give this young man a round of applause.
First place in the male calf goes to Kevin Spicer. He'll automatically be the calf champion. Next in the ring is Class 8 Senior Heifer Calves. I show 2 entries.
Really nice pair of heifers to start the heifer show, and I think have some trade-off because there are a significant difference in age, but I think the young man that I'm starting with, I like that one just in terms of circumference of foot and bone. I appreciate that one's rib cage and how blown apart she is in her forerib, and it's still one that offers a nice silhouette from the side, a really nice heifer to start. The young man that comes in second, I prefer that one in terms of her condition. She's still green yet and has a lot of gas in the tank. Is one that I think will have a bright future because of how nice lined she is and how good structured. Just one that needs to be blown apart and be a little deeper in this stage of her life to compete, but a nice pair of heifers to start the heifer show.
Placing first in our senior heifer class is Troy Heath, and second is Kevin Spicer. They will automatically be senior calf champion and reserve. Next in the ring will be late summer yearling heifers. I show 1 entry.
It's kind of a shame this one's a single entry because I do genuinely think she could run with a fair number of them. I really like this one's skeleton and how she's put together. Is she the most blown apart or powerful? No, but I think she's really ladylike and feminine up front. I really like her from her shoulder forward. I like this one at the ground in her skeleton and her structural base and how flexible she is one that I think could stand some competition. Young lady, you have a really nice one.
Placing first in late summer yearling heifers. First goes to Blair, Heath, and the heifer's automatically intermediate calf champion. Next in the ring is April junior yearling heifers, and I show one entry.
Sort of changing gears in a completely different kind from the last single entry. This one is super blown apart and powerful. I really like this one's rib cage and how, and her rib shape, especially up high, is one ideally I guess I'd like to trim a little condition off of to help balance up from a profile, but is one that has an easy feeding, low maintenance look, and will certainly be a nice cow for this young man. Give him a round of applause.
Placing first in April yearling heifers is Westin, Whitehead. Next we'll have March junior yearling heifers, and I show one entry.
Another nice single entry here, and one that I think is really long-spined and big-footed. Really like her circumference of bone and how stout-featured she is one that I guess as she gets around the ring, I'd like to sit down with a little more comfort off of her back too. But again, a really nice cow prospect for this young lady, and she does an exceptionally good job showing. Give her a round of applause.
Placings in our March junior yearling, first to Courtney Spicer. We need Courtney and Westin back in for junior champion and reserve female.
here in this division, I think there's some conversation and things to talk about between the two because I genuinely think it's pretty close because they are so different. Still, I think the young man's heifer up front needs to win just because she has that added body and dimension. I really like that one's rib cage and how full she is in her forerib and how it transitions to her rear rib and flank. The young man will be your champion. The young lady will be reserved. Give them a round of applause.
Junior champion female exhibited by Westin Whitehead and reserved by Courtney Spicer. Next in the ring is early junior yearling heifers. I show 4 entries. Standing around the ring, you must have your mask on. If you are standing around the ring, you must have your mask on, please.
Well, finally, a class to judge here, and not a bunch of single entries, but I mean, anybody ringside can probably tell that the one that starts is in a whole nother category and league. Again, the young lady does a really good job of getting her stuck, but this one, in terms of balance and profile and having the right kind of maternal rib cage and structural base, obviously excels and is super competitive, I think, out here. One that I like in terms of her foot and bone. I really like her silhouette from the side and how she proportions. Sure, does she have a little bit of chest? Yeah, sure, but one this old and still in the right kind of condition, I don't think you can really say much about it, is one that I think is really competitive and a nice representation. After you get past her, I think there's some conversation and some differences to start. And I know the heifer that comes in second is the slick-haired one of the reigning heifers, but I just think that she excels in terms of her skeleton. I really like this one's structure and how flexible she is at the ground. I really like that one's rib cage, and it really is what you see is what you get with this one because she is so slick. But I really like the turn to that one's rib cage up high and how full she is in her forerib. And again, I really think that in terms of her skeleton and structure is where she excels over the heifers that come in third and fourth. The hairy heifer in class is third, and it, again, is one that I think is really nice balanced, and I like that one on the stand. Is one that I'd like to change ever so slightly structurally off of her hind two. She's a little uncoordinated in the way she moves out of her hock and pastern. Is one that I'd like to change in that respect, but in terms of having the kind of dimension and rib cage I like is certainly one that is appropriate. The heifer that comes in fourth is a little better in terms of her hock and pastern. I think she is a little softer at the ground. Is one that in terms of balance needs to be changed just through her chest floor and how in relation to her flank. And again, in her top line, just think that she needs to be smoothed up to compete with the ones up top, but a really nice class and an awfully good one to start off with.
Placings in early junior heifers. First to Blair Heath. Second to Kevin Spicer. Third to Kevin Spicer. And fourth to Caitlin Spicer. Blair Heath will be automatically senior champion. Come on, microphone. Kevin Spicer will be reserve senior champion. We have
certainly not a lot of numbers in the Angus show, but I think once they get out here, the quality is pretty exceptional, and I think that everybody out here should be super proud of what they brought and the things that they can bring to the table back in their programs. I think all of them have different attributes and positives that can be beneficial moving forward and breeding them and creating the next generation. I won't go through them again and talk them because we have a lot of cattle to go through today. I liked her when she came in, and I still do. The heifer that wins comes out of the last division. From there, I think it genuinely gets close, and I think there's several different ways you could go based on, you know, your priorities and what you think is the most important. The next one that I like best in terms of having the right kind of condition at this stage in our life, having the right silhouette from the side and structural base comes out of the second division. That one will be your reserve.
microphone. Champion Angus female is Blair Heath, and reserve is Blair Heath. We have one bred known. Hereford exhibitors, this is your call to be ready. Hereford exhibitors.
Well, I think it's pretty cool to have a bred and known division because of how much time and effort and energy that it takes to, you know, create these things, breed them, and all the feed and time and energy it takes to create them from the ground up. And I think the young man, again, the young man that starts off this class is one that I like that heifer in class because of the unique pieces that she has in terms of dimension and power. Again, I think that one is really good in terms of her silhouette from the side. He'll be your champion bred known heifer. Give him a round of applause.
Champion bred known heifer is exhibited by Case and Kevin Spicer and reserved by Courtney Spicer. We're ready for Class 12 early summer yearling heifers in the Hereford division.
Really nice way to start off the Hereford show, and this single entry is one that I can really appreciate in terms of her cool lines and how nice she is in her top line. I really like this one shape up high. I really like the top side of her neck and the shape she has there and how it ties into her shoulder. Is one that I think offers a lot of dimension out of her hip. One that I could change ever so slightly in terms of her structure down low, but I really like that one up high and the unique pieces she brings to the table in a single entry. Another nice pair of heifers, and I'm going to leave them how they're standing and use the young lady's heifer in the lead, is one that I just think in terms of condition and how she's presented is more appropriate for this stage of her life, and I think it helps her in terms of balance. I like this one's head, neck, and chest quite a bit better than the heifer that comes in second, and I still think she has the right kind of shape and rib cage, is one that I prefer in terms of balance and look from the side. The real cowy stout one in class is the one that comes in second. I really like this one's power and hip. I like her pin set and how long and level hip she is. Is one that needs to be peeled back in terms of condition, especially through her chest floor, and it hinders her underline when viewed from the side, but a nice pair of heifers and two really good cow prospects. Well, in this young lady's eyes that's holding the heifer in first, I can't get it wrong because she owns them both, so she's going to be happy no matter what. I do think that there is a right way to do this, and it's the one that she's showing that needs to be championed just because of her, structural base and how more flexible she is at the ground. I like that heifer a great deal, and I think she's an awesome cow prospect. That young lady's older heifer will be champion. And then between the two heifers that are the reserve in that division and the one that won the calf division, I like the condition and how fresh the younger heifer is compared to the one that goes reserve in the second division. Excuse me. That one will be your reserve. Give that young lady a round of applause.
Testing. Our senior champion, reserve senior champion, was Jalen Velasek, and our champion in the Hereford division was Jalen Velasek and reserve. Congratulations. Next is, do we have any Bred known Harpers? Okay. Next, we're ready for the Shorthorn division.
Single entry Shorthorn, and also your champion Bred known, but is one that I think could stand some competition. It'll be nice to see her out in the champion drive. I really like this one's maternal rib cage and sweep to her underline. I like how stout she is and the dimension she offers. A really big-footed, big-boned heifer that still gets around the ring with flexibility and ease is one that I'd like to, trim up ever so slightly through her chest floor, but is a really good representation of the breed.
Champion Shorthorn female exhibited by Colby Hough. And the Bred known champion is also exhibited by Colby Hough. Next in the ring is other registered breed heifers. And I show one entry in the winter heifer calf class.
A really nice single entry here in the calf division of the AOBs, and one that I think has a really bright future. She's for as young as she does proportion up really well, and I can really appreciate that one's rib cage and how maternal she looks in the center portion of her body is one that I think is right in terms of her skeleton, especially up front. I love that one in terms of her head, neck carriage, and how she ties into her shoulder. Again, a nice single entry here for this young man. Give him a round of applause.
Placing first in Class 7 winter heifer calves is Colby Hough. Next in the ring is Class 15 April junior yearling heifers, and I show 3 entries.
Another nice trio of heifers, and I'm going to leave them how they came in the ring. I think there's some differences, obviously, because of breed composition, but I think the one that you have to land on is the one that's in the lead, and Young Man does a really good job of getting that one stuck, and I really like that one's maternal look. I like how she gets around the ring, and in terms of balance proportions up fine, is one that I'd like to maybe lengthen her front end out a bit and make her a little longer and leveler hipped, but I think big basic picture things of being a brood cow and having the right kind of shape and dimension and structure is one that I think needs to win. From there, I think there's some differences between the two. The one that comes next is a nicer balanced heifer, and I like how much longer she is shoulder forward. She's really good through her chest floor, and I like her rib shape. Is one that I wonder what she'll be like as a mature cow just in terms of frame score in relation to rib cage and depth, but I think that one has the right kind of skeleton and structure, especially at the ground. I think it gets close between 2 and 3 because the moderate, bigger bodied heifer is the one that comes in third. The Young Man does an exceptionally good job of getting that one stuck, and on the stand, I really like her silhouette. Is one that I'd like to change a little bit structurally. She's a little too far forward and straighten the angle to her shoulder and knee. Because of that, when she moves, she gets a little bit up in her spine when asked to lead. But again, I think that pair's close because in terms of having an easy feeding, efficient, low maintenance look as a cow prospect, that one certainly has it. But a nice trio of heifers and a nice one to start off with.
Placings in Class 15, April Junior Yearling Heifers. First to Hayden Brendel, second to Charlie Brendel, and third to Colby Hough. Next will be selection of Junior Champion Female and Reserve. The junior champion female was exhibited by Hayden Brendel, reserved by Charlie.
Again, not a lot of numbers, but I think all three of these heifers, have some serious positives and attributes that, are going to, add a positive impact to each one of their cow herds and what they're trying to accomplish in making the next generation. I still think I like the pair of Charolais heifers best. I thought they fit really well together. They'll be your champion in reserve. Again, here in the bred known division, I talked them in class and in division, and I genuinely think that this calf will have her day, and a really, really big fan of this one and the things that she brings to the table. I like her a great deal. Young man, she'll be your champion bred known.
Champion other breed heifer was exhibited by Hayden Brendel and reserved by Charlie Brendel. In the bred known division, Colby Hough placed first and second.
Nice single entry heifer here in the commercial division, and one that I like in terms of, being really long and strong and level in her top line. I like how long and level hip she is in the hind leg set that she has. I like how stable she is off of her in her hip and hock. Is one that I'd like to change her underline ever so slightly and make her a little deeper through her rear rib and flank to help her silhouette from the side. But is one that I like in terms of her structure and how strong and level and good line she is up high. Give that young lady a round of applause.
First place in our commercial heifers goes to Addison Ridgely, and he shall automatically be our champion commercial heifer. We will do Supreme, followed by the bred known Supreme.
got some excitement in the ring for the champion drive. I hope everybody's okay and the heifers are doing fine. I'll keep this short. I'll leave any kind of speech I have for after the steer drive when we're finished. And frankly, it's not even close. The Angus is a gun to a knife fight. Congratulations, young lady.
The Supreme Champion exhibited by Blair Heath from the Angus Division. Next, they'll have the Supreme Champion Bred and Own. Following Bred and Own, they'll take a short break and start showmanship at 9:45 or 9:45.
Again, I think it's a really big deal to show bred and owned heifers because, I mean, it's my business to raise livestock and sell junior heifers to exhibitors everywhere, and I know the expense and time it takes as far as breeding one, feeding one, showing one. I know how expensive it is and time consuming and how much you have invested in this, so having a chance to show bred and owned cattle is always a lot of fun, and I think it's important to have this division. I think there's several different ways you could go. They're all built differently, and you could justify any of them. I think the one that suits me the best and the one that has the fewest holes is the calf out of the AOB division. She'll be your champion bred and owned. Congratulations, young man.
Folks, if you're in the building, you need to have a mask on, please. You must have a mask on. And that means you. child. Who was I talking to? Oh, Kathy Gordon, I was asking, who was the little mouse? We are ready for the 18-year-old showmanship class. If you are in the building, you must have a mask on. If you do not have a mask, please leave the building.
Well, in showmanship, I have my work cut out for me because it's a little more complicated than just black and white things. And I really, really enjoy doing showmanship because I have a great passion for it, and I think it's ultra important, especially at the upper level of competition, and how important it is to be able to get one stuck and how that can affect placings on a national or even state level when things get close and it's really competitive. So it's something that I take great pride in, and the customers that I have, I really like to work with them to make sure that they have the basics down. And then after that, it's personal preference. The things that attract you to one style of showing as opposed to the other. And it's little nitpicky things when you get to be a senior and you have all the basics down. I think these two do an exceptionally good job, and it'll be interesting to see as we progress through the senior division how they stack up. And I think it's little things that sort them. And I'm not going to go through the things that I like in particular, one thing over another, until we finish the classes, because I don't want to give the people in the back of, an advantage by telling them what I like and what I don't like. But I'll say that these two do an exceptionally good job, and the young man showing the bull will win this particular class. The young man will be second. And then the two over here, the 3 and 4, also do a really good job just in terms of disposition on the steer, for example. And then the young man that comes in fourth, just ever so slightly in terms of feet placement and head carriage, were things that I would change just a little bit, but a really competitive class.
Placings in our first class of showmanship of 18-year-olds. First to Kevin Spicer, second to Colby Hough, third to Mackenzie Harris, and fourth to Westin Whitehead. We're now ready for Class 2, showmanship 17-year-olds, and I show 3 entries.
Another really competitive class here, and all 3 of them do an exceptionally good job. Just prefer the young lady's just attention and poise and how intense she is, always having the steer's feet in the right places and always having that one looking the part. The young man that comes in second also does a really good job. Just a few times, didn't have it quite right or how I would have that steer collected. And the young man that comes in third, again, really comfortable out here, and I really appreciate, how confident he is, again, in terms of feet placement, and the steer wasn't necessarily behaving in the way that, I'm sure he was hoping, but another really good trio. Give them a round of applause.
Placings in Class 2, showmanship 17-year-olds. First to Kelly Spicer, second to Stuart Moxley, and third to Luke Cheney. We're now ready for Class 3, 15 and 16-year-old showmanship.
I'm going to leave these three how they stand and start with the young lady with the brockle-headed steer up front. Again, I think she does a really good job and the steer works with her. You can tell she's done a lot at home with this one and how he responds to her. Always having that one right in terms of feet placement and head carriage. I like how she's presenting herself also in the way that she handles him. The young lady that comes in second, the steer with the cable halter, also does a really good job. I like her intensity, again, in terms of feet placement and how she gets that one parked. There's just some things that I would change. I'd bring that one show side hind leg up just ever so slightly right now. But again, a really good job, and there's some things that she can definitely build from, as can be said for the young man that rounds out this particular class, just in terms of just feet placement and how intense he is out here is one that I would invite all of them to come back and check out the senior drive here in a minute, just to see how the people that do win are performing. But again, a really competitive trio. Give them a round of applause.
Placings in 15 and 16-year-olds. First to Samantha Dixon, second to Peyton Harris, and third to Thomas Moxley. Next will be the selection of the senior champion.
sorry for taking a little extra time here, but I think it's warranted. Like I said before, and I'll say it again, I do think that showmanship is super, super important, and I think when you get to a high level of competition in heifer or steer shows, like I said, at the state or national level, I think it's absurdly important to have, you know, the right kind of handle and the right kind of presence and being able to take care of business out in the ring to even give yourself a chance. I think things are so competitive these days in both the heifer and the steer side that if you can't get one stuck, you might as well just stay home, because I think that it's so close and cattle are so good that you better know what you're doing and you better have that kind of intensity. You better do your homework at home and make sure that you and the calf always look the best. And I think that that's really, really important. I will say that to make all three of you feel better, that I took your show sticks away just to be a jerk. I actually already knew what I was going to do beforehand. To actually tell you a little story in case Chris Mullinex is watching right now, my old judging coach. His brother Randy Mullinex actually took my show stick away from me at a show, and I thought it was the meanest thing ever. And so now I do it to all the senior showmen to make them, to torture them in the same way he tortured me. And honestly, I think there's value in doing that because I think the people that understand their animal and how to make them look best, honestly, in a lot of cases, don't need a show stick. And as far as trading calves, again, I kind of already made up my mind beforehand what I wanted to do. I just wanted to make you guys sweat as long as I possibly could to see if somebody was going to screw up. And all three of you did an exceptionally good job. Just to tell you, I guess, in the senior deal, the things that I look for and the things that I think are important. First of all, I get bored pretty easy in the ring, so if you guys are out in the makeup ring, and I'm going to watch you and I'm going to pay attention, so if you have your game on then, I think that's really important. I really have a big deal about showing, I prefer, I guess, to scratch one's chest, not belly. I think there's a difference there. And I just, in terms of how you stand in front of one and your arm, how you have your arm in relation to their head carriage. And again, I think all of those things are super important on top of being intense and getting the job done. As far as eye contact goes, I guess I'll be the first to say that, you know, I think it's creepy if you stare at me the entire time, because I think you should be, you know, concentrating on making sure the calf looks right. Because honestly, that's the only reason you're in the ring to begin with, is to give the calf the best chance. So if you're staring at me, I guess I think it's creepy, but that's just one person's opinion. And as far as everything else go, I think once you're in senior showman, you should have all the basics down. And after that, it's honestly just personal preference and what that particular judge likes. And again, like I said before, I like somebody that's intense. I like somebody that walks into the ring and knows, like, it's game time and it's time to, you know, get after it. And honestly, when I'm judging showmanship, the thing that crosses my mind is if I have a heifer in Louisville or Denver or Kansas City, which one of these people would I feel comfortable having them show her and know that she'll get the best look if I think that one has a chance of winning? And I think all three of these people do an exceptionally good job. The two in the lead are the two that suit me the best in terms of their technique and how intense they are. And I genuinely think it's pretty close. I asked if they were related because they do such a good job, and it's fun to have brother and sister out here competing against each other, so somebody's going to be real upset on the ride home. But again, I think they both do an exceptionally good job. I'm sure they both want to beat the sibling in a bad way, so it's always fun to have that kind of competition out here. Again, give them a round of applause. A really, really good job, and I'll show you the one I like.
Our senior champion showman is Kevin Spicer. Next, we will move to showmanship class 4, 13-year-olds, and I show 3 entries.
here in the intermediate division, I think it's pretty clear from the onset when they came in that this young man that's going to start has the best concept and grasp of everything that he needs to do out here. He constantly has that thing presented exactly the way he needs to be, does a really good job, and I think handedly wins his heat. Congratulations to him. From there, I think it's a little bit closer, and both of these could stand to and benefit on more time and just paying attention to people that do win in showmanship. Both of them do a really good job. I would just invite them to come back and stand ringside and watch the ones that have won and learn, and because that's how you get better. But a really good trio of showmen, a really nice one to start off with.
Placings in Class 4, 13-year-olds, excuse me. First to Bryce Heath, second to Kaylin Spicer, and third to Michael Patrick. Next class is 12-year-olds, and I show 3 entries.
Another really good heat here, and I'm going to start with the young lady with the black heifer, you know, in the third hole. I think she does the best job in just getting that one presented. I know of the 3, that heifer probably doesn't cooperate as well as the other 2, but you can tell that she knows exactly where those things' feet are supposed to be. She really is an intense little showman that does a good job with keeping that one's head up. And while the heifer doesn't act as well as the other 2, you can tell that that young lady really knows what she's doing and knows how to get that one presented the right way. The young lady at the lead is the one that I'm going to put second. Actually, when you walked in, I just assumed that she would end up winning this class. She actually lost me in the last couple minutes because you just had your feet crossways and didn't necessarily, pay attention close enough to get that right. But a really good job, obviously very comfortable and poised out here, and does a really good job as far as getting that one presented. The young man that will round out in terms of just, you know, doing what he needs to do, I can appreciate a lot of things. One that just doesn't give quite the initiative or doesn't have quite the intensity, but a really good trio and a really nice one to start off with. Give them a round of applause.
Placings in Class 5 showmanship for 12-year-olds. First to Courtney Spicer, second to Caitlin Hill, and third to Hunter Patrick, excuse me. We're now ready for 11-year-olds, and I show 2 entries. Hello? Chip Ridgely, if you can hear my voice, would you come to the table, please?
Again, a really good pair of showmen here getting into the younger age groups. And I made comment about this when she showed her heifer in breed that she did an exceptionally good job, and she still does. As soon as she hits the ring, I can tell that she's obviously spent a lot of time at home and knows exactly what she needs to do, has the right kind of intensity, and frankly, she can show one for me any day. I think she does an exceptionally good job showing this particular class. The young man also does a really good job in terms of having that one, you know, getting that one's head up, and I know that's not easy for a little kid, and does a really good job as far as that goes. Obviously, he's not cooperating quite as well as I'd like him to, and I'm sure the young man would like him to, but a really good pair and a bright future here for both of these exhibitors.
Placings in our 11-year-olds, first to Jalen Velasek and second to Hayden Brendel. We'll now select the intermediate showmanship champion. Testing. If you're in the building, you must have a mask on. If you are in the building, you must have a mask on.
Well, as we get out here for the intermediate showmanship drive, I think it's actually really cool that this drive is just as competitive as the senior drive was, and I think that's just a testament to the kind of future that this program has in this county. I think all three of them do an exceptionally good job, and I think as they get older, I think all of them will be very competitive at any level of showmanship that you ask them to go in. And I think in terms of having all the basics down, I think all of them do that exceptionally well. I think in terms of having the right kind of presence when they step in the ring and having the right kind of intensity and knowing that, you know, it's game time when you walk in here. And even at this young age, I think it's cool to see that because they know how much time, you know, and effort it takes back at home to get these things looking the way they do. So they want to make sure that their calf has the best look in the couple minutes that a judge gets to see them. So again, I think it's really cool that the intermediate drive is just as competitive as the senior. I think this program has a bright future. I won't talk through them again. I said what I liked in the senior drive and it hasn't changed. I'll go look at them one more time and pick an intermediate champion, but give them one more round of applause on a really good show.
Champion in the intermediate division is Jalen Velasek. We'll now start the junior division. I show 2 entries in the 9 and 10-year-old.
Here in the junior champion drive, just two young people, but I think they both do an exceptionally good job. And I know when you're a little kid, I know it's hard when you have big steers that weigh 1,300 pounds to, you know, actually get them to cooperate with you and be able to get their head up. And obviously that both of these young people have spent some serious time at home, getting these stacked the way they do, and have the confidence that they have when they're on the halter of a 1,300-pound steer, give or take, and still know that that steer is going to do exactly what you want them to do. A testament to the family at home, to the exhibitor at home, and I think all of them should be super proud of what they've accomplished. The young lady will be champion junior showman. The young man will be reserve. Give them a round of applause.
Champion junior showman is Addison Ridgely, and Charlie will be reserve. Final class in the ring is our first-year senior showman, and I show 3 entries. I see one. Right underneath.
Really competitive group of first-year senior showmen, and I'm going to actually lead them how they came in the ring and start with the young man in the lead. I think the moment he hit the ring, you could tell that he did an exceptionally good job at home of getting that steer to where he cooperates and does a really good job of always having the right kind of poise regardless of how the steer is acting, and always having that steer on the stand, on the profile, looking exactly the way he needs to, and having, the feet, his feet in the right place, and just having the right kind of silhouette from the side when that one's parked. The young lady does a really good job also. I like that. I like her intensity and how she responds to where I am in the ring. Again, a couple times that one wasn't quite right in terms of feet. I'd raise that one's head up a little bit, and I know it's hard when you have a steer with a big head like that. I know they weigh a lot, so I get it. It's just a little nitpicky things when you're at a competitive level like this. The young man that ends up being third, again, does a really good job, and nothing to take away from him, because technically he does the right things, and it's just little preference things that sort them. But as far as having the basics down, all three of them do a really good job. Give them a round of applause.
Placings in our first year senior showman, first to Tristan Engelke, second to Sarah Whitehead, third to Walker Whitehead. Now ready for our first year junior showman. I show one entry.
First year junior here, and I asked him just two simple questions. Is he having a good time, and will he show again next year? The answer is yes to both, so I think this is a pretty successful day all around for him. Again, I think he does a really good job. You can tell that, you know, he has family or a support system back home that has taught him the right way to do things and to get the basics down right. And again, I think he should be super proud, as should his support system, on doing an exceptionally good job. Give him a round of applause.
Our first year junior showman is Troy Heath. We'll now select our champion first year showman.
Out here for the first year showmanship division. I'll be honest with you, I am one person that if it's close between age groups, and then I'm all about using, you know, whoever I think is doing the best job, regardless of how old they are, or and that never really bothered me, I guess. I still think that it's really close between these two, and they show completely differently, and I think it's interesting. Obviously, they're different families, different people helping them along, and I think it's just personal preference between the two. Young man that is the first year junior showman, I promise you'll have your day, because I think you're going to be really, really good at showing. But today it'll be the senior showman that gets to be your champion.
Next is a selection of the overall champion showman for 2020.
If you would, give everybody out in the ring a big round of applause on your champion showmanship. Again, for the I've said it before, and I think it's important for the people that aren't out here in your respective age groups, I would invite you to come ringside and just look and see what your peers are doing and how they have their animals set up, how they are responsive to me, and how intense and all of the things that it takes to make a really good showman. I would invite you to come ringside and just watch, and I think that's a great learning tool, is to just see how the people are doing it that beat you in your respective breed or your respective age groups. Because I think that's the one thing that you can do to always get better, and even the ones that are out here, I think you always learn, you can always do better. There's always more that you can do, and I'm really proud of each one of the age divisions and what they've done and how good they are. And I have the opportunity to judge quite a bit, and I think that as far as the top end of the showmanship in this particular county, I think it's top notch, and I think that they can be competitive at a junior nationals or in different big summer shows like that or state fair. I think they'll be super competitive as they go on, depending on where they end up showing this fall. So if you would, give them a round of applause again. Like I said before, when I sort showmanship, it's personal preference, and it's basically the person that I think would do the best job. If I had a heifer in Kansas City or Louisville, that I would just put the heifer in their hands and say go for it. And I think honestly, there's two of them out here, the senior and the intermediate, that both do that and do that very well. And I think it's little nitpicky things that sort them. I'm going to look one more time, but again, thanks for the opportunity, and give them one more round of applause.
We will start the steer show at 11:15. The steer show will start at 11:15.